Hi there, welcome to today's Wednesday webinar. It's the first Wednesday of the month. It says second Wednesday on there, but that is false because this month, April, is Financial Literacy Month. And coincidentally, we are opening the Finance tab on the Volunteer Toolkit, but it's not open yet. And so instead of doing some other generic financial literacy webinar today, I brought the Daisies and Brownies forward. And I think next week the tab is going to be open. And so we'll do a whole introduction on the Finance tab with Kate and all the other experts on the Volunteer Toolkit Finance tab then. And if not next week, then the Wednesday after. Whichever Wednesday it is open, that's when we'll do it. So everybody who logs in or who listens to the video later can go check out their own Volunteer Toolkit and see their own super cool Finance tab because it's going to be really handy for troops. I think that's going to be really neat. But in the meantime, let's talk Daisies and Brownies, because financial literacy absolutely is something that girls can do, and so can you. It's so important. It just is mind-boggling to me how important financial literacy is and how important girls see it as. These are results from a survey that was done of older girls, so cadets and up, a few years ago, but they're coming into their own, and they were asked, how do you see yourself with money? And 94% of girls would rather make their own money than rely on their parents. So they want to get a job as teenagers or do something. Only 13% believe that men are better with money than women, and hopefully by now, some 3 to 5 years later, not even that many do. 80% would rather make their own money than marry someone who would support them financially. That's reassuring too. 86% say that both household partners should make financial decisions for the family. And we're working on that other 14%, right? Hopefully they overlap with that 13% and they've whittled right down. 74% say that both partners should be responsible for raising their children. And isn't that essential to that being able to make equity in money too, because you've got to be able to spend time doing both things, and which, it's got to be good for the kids too. 96% of girls expect they will be able to provide for their families. 95% expect they'll be able to own a home. 87% expect they'll be able to make a lot of money. And 87% of girls expect they will be able to give back to their communities. But we don't want to just toss them into that, right? It's like, oh, we're not going to talk about finances at all. And now you're a grown-up. You've got to deal with finances. We want to make it stair-step. And in the process of this study, a number of sociological studies were brought in that were done at universities all across the country. And I think a couple were international as well. And what they found was that without intention, parents will often talk to their sons about finances in ways that they don't talk to their daughters. And nobody's trying to keep girls out of the conversation, but the girls just aren't being brought into the conversations as much as boys. And it's gotten better over the last 40 years, 50 years, yay. And there's still a discord, a mismatch on it in a lot of places. So Girl Scouts is a great place for us to build girl skills around finances. And, honestly, it's a great place for us to build our own skills around finances, because despite all these high percentages, the reality is a lot of people, men and women, are uncomfortable talking about finances, and they're uncomfortable with their personal skill in finances. It's really funny because I think most people who drive cars think that they're great drivers, and I would venture to say most people, more than 50%, do not feel like they're great with their finances. They feel like they're okay, they're getting by, but they're not great with it. So the reality, I think, is probably that we're better with our finances than we are with driving. But, that's my opinion. So what I want to do with Girl Scouts And what I've really been working to do, it's been like one of my little personal crusades for the last couple of years, is building people's confidence to learn about finances and to become better. And I'm doing it right alongside everybody else. I'm trying to become more confident and more competent with financial choices, financial decisions. And I want grown-ups and girls alike to see the opportunity for growth and learning that we all have around this, and what terrific resources Girl Scouts provide us to build our girl skills for sure, and to build our own. And you know what's cool? I tell this story. I'm horrible with balls. Like, balls hit me in the head, and that's sort of my relationship with balls. They're thrown from wherever and they hit me in the head. There's not a lot of catching involved. I think my head slows them down. It's pretty hard. Anyway, when I had little kids, when my kids were small, I was better at ball games than they were. And so I would play ball with them and, roll it to them, toss it to them, even play where I could throw a wiffle ball or something, and they'd be able to hit it with the bat, and, there would be success. When they got as good as I was, which was pretty fast, I would say by the time each of them was 5 or 6, she or he was as good as I was with a ball. That's when I passed them off to the softball and the t-ball and the baseball teams, because those coaches were able to teach them things that I couldn't teach them, and to model behaviors that I could not model for them anymore. And I went to their games and I would be able to pick up the lingo, and I can't say that I got any better with a ball than I ever have been. I've got some blocks on that, psychological blocks on that. But it was okay that they got as good as me, and now all 3 of them are much better than I am at games that involve catching and throwing. Yay. And that's great, because I don't need that for life. But with finances, we can do the same kind of thing. We know more because we're grown-ups. We know more than little kids do about money stuff. And as long as we're working with them, and when we realize we get to a point or we come up with a topic that we don't know as much as them, we can learn alongside the girls. And we have lots of resources in our community to bring in and support us, not just other Girl Scout leaders, but the credit union or bank where we have our troop account. Those people are terrific resources. Often other banks or credit unions in the community will be willing to put on workshops for your troop too. What's nice is, and I don't know if you know this, but we're going to say this every week this month, financial institutions have an obligation to provide a lot of community service in their community. And their big problem is they often don't know where to provide it. So if your Girl Scout troop can go to your credit union or your bank that holds your account and say, hey, here are the printouts of the badges for the girls at our level that our girls would really love to earn this one badge. And here's the outline for it. Would you be able to help us earn this badge? I can almost guarantee you they will find someone who works for them, maybe multiple someones who work for them, ideally a woman, someone who works for them, who will do a workshop with your girls, whether it's coming to your meeting place or inviting you to the bank and going into their meeting room and learning about the stuff there. I have never been turned down when I've asked for the troops that I've gotten to work with, and that's been like 6 or 7 times, because you don't just do it once. You do it when the girls are little, you do it when they're the next level, you do it when they're the next level and the next level, so that they visit and revisit the financial institutions, and they feel comfortable there. Does that make sense? Here, let's take a peek at the Volunteer Toolkit, and that's because, let's see if it's going to open the right page. Dun 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 dun. Bum bum bum. Okay, and of course it opened the other one, but I'll pull it over here. We're going to go to the Volunteer Toolkit because that's one of the easiest places for me to show you how to access the badges. I also do have printouts of the badges that you would find in the Girl Guide that I can show you in case that's a way that you prefer to work with these and to print out. So here, let's pull up. We'll start with daisies because they're cute and daisy-ish. Not that brownies aren't cute. Brownies are darling. Let me see. Do I have a financial literacy one pulled up? I do. Look at that. So if we wanted to do money counts, which is one, if it's what I think it is, it's the one I like to do around the cookie season because you actually get to touch money. But you pull up the badge, and you've got it in your year plan, you pull it up, and you can look at the meeting overview, and it tells you the things that you're going to plan ahead. Yes, they get to touch money. So you would have 200 pennies and 40 nickels and 20 dimes and 8 quarters in a jar, and then some bills. And these are the things that you're going to need for a 60-minute meeting. Let's see, it's not going to let me just move it over the way. Let's see, activity plan. So this takes you right through it. If you are thinking, oh gosh, I don't know how I would lead this activity. This is as the girls arrive. Yeah, okay, good. It gives you the script. How cool is that? Welcome, Daisies. You're about to learn a lot about money today. Get started by drawing a picture of some coins and bills that you've seen before. What color will you make the bills? What colors will you make the coins? And have the girls draw as their start of activity as they're arriving for your meeting. Then, after you've done the promise and the law, you've got your 200 pennies, 40 nickels, 20 dimes, 8 quarters in a jar to hold all those coins. After you've done the promise and the law, you're going to put the jar on the table and have a single penny, nickel, dime, and quarter laid out next to the jar to show what each looks like. And then you're going to say, don't you love this? Not right now, but in a minute, one of you will put the coins in order of size. What do they look like? And you're really, this is like the beginning of progression for money with the girls, right? You're going to have them just look at the money and touch the money, and talk about what would you use money for? You know, have you ever used money? Have you ever been in charge of money? And then what did you buy? You're going to have lots of fun today learning about different kinds of coins and paper money and how they all add up. And then you're going to figure out how to buy things that you want at a county fair. Excited to get going? And then it takes you right through the script. Now, if you feel funky reading the script, read it ahead of time and get a sense of what they're asking here. Maybe make yourself an outline with points that you would talk about, and then you introduce the activity. Because it's a pretty straightforward activity. You're a grown-up. You've touched all the different sized coins. You've touched the different sized bills, and you have a sense of buying things for a value. So you know more than 5-year-olds do about this stuff, right? Or 6-year-olds do about this stuff. So that's really cool. And then it goes on to money bingo and a couple of different activities. Again, you can read through the script right here. The other thing you could do would be to read through, here it is, in the Girl's Guide to Girl Scouting for Daisies, you've got this layout here that tells you about money counts, and it tells you what the 3 different responsibilities are for it. And so the activities that you can do, and this just outlines it so you can do it for your troop, for yourself, without going through the script. But, you would say things. So super easy peasy, right? Very straightforward. It's a meeting, maybe 2 meetings for Daisies to go through all of these activities and to get a sense of what money counts is about, what it is, to come to understand different kinds of coins, to come to know more about paper money, remembering that they may not touch those things very often. How often do you touch cash? I very rarely do. Recently, somebody paid me for an activity that I did for them, and I've had weird cash in my wallet, and it's strange. Usually, I'm using plastic. And different families do different things, but know that a lot of girls in the troop, maybe they haven't actually handled cash. And so this will be a new experience for them. Actually, at this point, if they did a booth sale, then they did handle cash, didn't they? And so hopefully you did this activity before for then. But if not, next year, right? So there's that. Now, the other Daisy activity, let's go back to the year plan. I had it as just the next one on there. There are 2 leaves for Daisies, and well, there are 4 leaves, but 2 are financial literacy, 2 are entrepreneurial, so starting your business. Making choices is the other Daisy one, and this is what it looks like in the book. with the goals being to find out the difference between needs and wants, try setting a goal to save for what you want, and help others with what they need and want. So isn't that a concept that is valuable? And I got to tell you, it's one that we revisit in the Girl Scout badges almost at every level. Identifying needs versus wants. The activity that I do with grown-ups is write down everything that you've bought for the last 2 weeks. And then after they've written down everything, whether it's groceries, paying the electricity bill, paying the mortgage, buying coffee on the way to work, buying gasoline, whatever. They've written down all the things that they've paid for in the last 2 weeks. Now, of those things, identify which of those things are needs and which of those things are wants. And you really think about it in terms of your life right now. And then how would that be different if you were a teenager? How would that be different if you made half as much money, if you made twice as much money? Are there things that would slide to the want column if you made half as much money? Are there things that would slide to the needs column if you made twice as much money? Which is not exactly how you do it with daisies, but I think to make the point with grown-ups, that helps bring some focus on, do I need this coffee every day on my way to work? Or could I just make it with the coffee pot that I have sitting on my counter? Or do I need this candy bar in the afternoon? Or could I just pack another snack for me to eat in the afternoon when I pack my lunch? Do I need to go out for lunch? Or could I pack a lunch? Because we all know that packing a lunch costs much less than buying a lunch out. But, sometimes what's the need? What's the loss? What's the benefit? What's the loss? So on the Volunteer Toolkit version of that meeting, what it looks like is, let's look at the activity plan. Starting right out with cutout photos, having the girls cut out photos from the supermarket circulars and putting them on poster board and placing it around the room. And so essentially they're going to go shopping, right? So on the Sunday before, you'd pull out the ads from the newspaper, or have your families for your troop pull out ads from the newspaper and even from department stores of different things that are for sale. And then put those on poster boards around the room and have a bucket or plastic bowl for daisies to use as a shopping cart, enough for each girl. And then you're going to say, so ahead of time, post groceries around the room, gather the girls in a circle, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, good. In fact, the startup activity could actually be the girls going and taping them up around the room, right? Because they're helping you out. Hey, girls, I've got this stack of stuff, and here's tape. Would you go in buddies and tape these up around the room? Make sure not to stick it on anything that you're going to damage, or whatever kind of guidance you need to give them. Then you're going to say, all people need certain things like food, clothes, and a place to live. People also want certain things like a bicycle, a pet, or a toy. Share what you circled on the what people need list when you came in. Oh, so there was a what people need list that's in the materials. Let's talk about, was it hard to decide what items are something you need? Do you need a bed? Do you need a toothbrush and toothpaste? Are shoes and clothes a need? How about gloves when it's cold? How about a clip for your hair? Do you need or want that? Isn't that funny? See, I think all of those things are needs. But again, depending on the family, the household, there are a couple of those things that might be considered wants, including the clip for the hair. Let's take a shopping trip and have each girl take a bucket to use as your shopping cart, and then go to each of the poster boards around the room and pick 5 items to bring home for you and your family. And so it walks you right through the activities, how you could do it. If you're thinking, oh, but I would do it this other way, awesome. As long as you're meeting these goals for the girls to find the difference between needs and wants, and to really take time to think about that. For girls to take the opportunity to set a goal for something they want to save for, and to help for girls to take time to think about how they could help others with needs and wants. That's the community service, the philanthropy part of this badge, right? And isn't that part of financial literacy? How can we be philanthropic? How do we give back to our community? That's something that's big in Girl Scouts, and it's really something that's big as Americans. We want to be generous people who take care of other people. So that's part of that badge. One of the things that I really do love about the Volunteer Toolkit is by giving the script, it makes it easier for those things, for those topics that we might not feel as confident with, right? Just look at the Brownie financial literacy ones. I don't know if those are pulled up. I'm going to scroll through kind of quickly, so don't get sick. Money Manager, yay! I love it when they're right there. So which one is that? That's this one. For Money Manager, we can see right here that the goals are for the girls to shop for elf items and start learning to be a money manager by shopping with their elf friend. Then to go grocery shopping, to go clothes shopping, to get ready for school, and to have some fun. So those are the 5 different activities. And remember, with most of the badges for Brownies and up, there are 5 activities with 3 choices outlined. And so when you look at the paper version of it, that's what you're going to get, the 5 things that they have to do and 3 choices of how they do it. So they could go shopping at home. They could go shopping with a brownie friend and her elf doll, or they could go shopping with your brownie group. And you as a group or you as a leadership team decide how you think the girls would accomplish that part of the badge. And then go grocery shopping, count out $30 from your stack of elf money to do the grocery shopping. And what I didn't include here, but what is in the Girls Guide, in the back of the Girls Guide, you'll see there's the elf doll that each girl can cut out. Each girl who has a Girls Guide can cut out. And then there are all these little picture cards that have different groceries, lots and lots of different groceries and lots of different life things that you would need that the girls might go shopping for. And so you create a store with those little pictures. And then it also has elf money that's on these pages in the back. That you can cut up, and the girls use that for their shopping money. I believe that I actually have elf money on a file. Let me see if that's an easy thing for me to come up with here. We did Sharing the Wealth a couple years ago, and it's a really good workshop. So I'm Share the Wealth. Or is it Sharing the Wealth? Yeah. Doing a search on this, not working for me. Dun dun. ARING. There it is. Happy day. It's not something that I can post on the Volunteer Swap, but if you have a badge and not all the girls have their Girl Guides, let me know and I can send you a PDF of the elf money and those things. I also have a coin bingo, little coin bingo cards. That is not it. I've got it somewhere else. Okay. Minimize that. But let me know if you need some resources around financial literacy to supplement this, because, oh, you know where they're going to have it? What a silly goose, right here on the materials list. The meeting aids. There it is. See, this is why I need to look at my resources even more. And all of us need to look at our resources. So you see, it's a PDF of this elf money. How cute. I love how she's got the little powdered wig. Makes me laugh. And the elf groceries. So you cut them out and you put them around your quote store and the girls can shop for it. And your elf doll and your elf stuff. Or, you know, department store kind of things. So, well, and more than, because like a violin lesson, and I think there's an art lesson in here and a music lesson and movie ticket. So dance lesson. So lots of different things that the girls might shop for. I want to say the book has even more than that, but it's a fun activity because it's very interactive, and it's the kind of thing that could lead to, you know, now that we've shopped with our elves around here, maybe we should do a field trip where we go to the mall and you can visit a local mall and put together, this is kind of what they did at Mall Madness, which was an event that happened in January, February, where troops would run around and they would have to put together an outfit in a certain store for under $30, or they would find as much as they could find for a certain amount of money. And whoever got closest to that total amount would win that round. So there are lots of ways you can really make it fun and interactive so that the girls are truly learning by doing as they participate in it. And isn't that the way that we make learning stick? They've got to get hands-on with it. I want to go back. We've got to get their hands on it. We've got to get our own hands into it. So we're looking at things and we're really making some choices. And the daisies start out right at the beginning making those choices. Ooh, you know what? I do want to show you the other brownie badge, because they don't just have money counts. They also have the philanthropist. And the philanthropist is really a great one. It, again, visits the needs versus wants. So the girls will look at needs versus wants again in their own lives, what they do and what they see, and then how to help people who are hungry. And more in the state of Maine, we're seeing people who are homeless or who are asking for support because they are not able to support their families. And so that can be really disconcerting for girls. But if as a troop, we can look at what can we do for folks who don't have enough food? What are things that we can do to be supportive? That's a conversation that 7 and 8 and 9-year-olds can have. 1 out of 6 are hungry. Yeah, Tammy just posted that 1 out of 6. Is that in the state of Maine or across the country? Because the number I'd heard for across the country was 20%, but in Maine, yeah. So yay, Maine's less hungry than the rest of the country, but still, yeah. And people are cold too. There's that whole having to heat your house and things in the wintertime. Finding out about people who need clothing and what are options, what are things that we can do to support people who need clothes and who also need to stay warm. And lots of our service units do mitten or coat drives in the wintertime. So that's a great time to talk about this and to bring that information in. I know one of my troops, they started doing, when they were older, they started doing yard sales as money earning events. And then we would donate whatever was left at the end of the yard sale to local charities, Goodwill, the other one, Salvation Army, or other local charities. There are a couple of homeless home challenged programs in Lewiston and Portland that we would donate to for teenagers especially. But that got the girls going to those secondhand shops and finding that they could stretch their own budgets even further. So it kind of wrapped around to that needs and wants thing. If they wanted more clothes, they wanted a broader selection of clothes for their own wardrobes, they could stretch their dollars if they went to the secondhand shops that they were also donating their used clothes to. And it was a really interesting thing. We were able to expand on finances. We were able to expand on philanthropy, and we were able to expand on fashion and the creativity around that. And we were able to expand on recycling, reduce, reuse, recycle. And so that was a complete surprise. There was no forethought or anticipation in that learning opportunity, but it happened and it was awesome. Knowing how to help in times of emergency. So this ties into the safety badge and the first aid badge also. And it gets girls thinking about how do finances play into emergencies. And they may hear on the news how expensive a storm is or how expensive a house fire is and not really have understanding of that. But this is a thing that they could start to learn the tidbits of. They're only going to understand it as much as a 7, 8, 9-year-old understands it. That's okay. If they're introduced to it at that age, then they'll be able to build on it. It gives them some sticky spots so that when they learn about it again at 8, 9, 10, 9, 10, 11, it's going to solidify a little bit more and be something that they can really do something with. And then think and act like a philanthropist. Every person I know in the entire world loves to help other people. even people that I think that might not be true for, I know for a fact every person likes to feel like a generous person, likes to feel like a giving and supportive and kind person. And so giving our girls at the Daisy level, Brownie level, right on through the ambassador level, these opportunities where they get to choose how they want to be philanthropists, how they can support other people, how they can be kind and giving and generous and understanding, is something that will make them feel good about themselves and powerful as human beings. And so I love that it's part of this badge, and it's a part of a badge at almost every single level. So take advantage of these wonderful resources, whether you use the badge book or the volunteer toolkit. Take advantage of those resources to support you, as well as resources in your community. And if you ever have questions about where to turn for support with financial literacy, please email dwalkerelders at girlscouts.gsmaine.org, or learn@gsmaine.org, or customercare@gsmaine.org, or your volunteer support specialist, or other folks in your service team, because we've got lots of thought around this and lots of tentacles in the community. We want to support you as you support your girls in the learning process of their financial literacy. And Tammy has just said, before you leave, can you stay to test my new headset? Yes, I can, Tammy. Okay. So thanks for joining us today. Thanks for doing what you do. Thanks for listening in if you're listening later. And please, on the volunteer swap, will you please post pictures of your girls doing financial literacy? At whatever that is for you. But if your girls are doing activities around financial literacy, please post them this month. Let's reinforce that that's an awesome thing for Girl Scouts to do. Thanks for coming.